Hey guys, it's Andy. This is an episode I've been looking forward to doing ever since I started the channel. So I love to talk about tequila, but it's probably not for the reason most of you think. Especially if you're a family member or a friend, I never shut up about it. And there's a pretty good reason, which I'm going to get to later. But first I have a question to ask you. See if this scenario sounds familiar. It's the weekend, so you go out for some beers with some of your friends. After a couple of rounds, one of said friends has ordered a round of tequila shots unbeknownst to you. Without warning, the server arrives with a round of shots. Usually, the dreaded Jose Cuervo. And the next thing you know, you're clanging glasses, and down the hatch it goes. Your face contorts as the savory combination of liquid plumber and castor oil assault your taste buds. Luckily for you, there's a lime to bite into, and hopefully you have one of those beers you ordered before to help wash it down. So, after a few more rounds, suddenly, and maybe you've had this happen to you, because I know I have, drunk logic kicks in. Your brain tells your heart, you know what? I'm going to get back at those guys for buying that nasty round of Cuervo. So I'm going to order another one and make them drink it too. And so it goes until you wake up in bed at 3 a.m. The room is spinning, your stomach hates you, and for some inexplicable reason, you're holding one of your tennis shoes clutched to your chest like it's a life jacket. Hey God, it's Andy. I know I prayed this 100 times, but if you could stop the room from spinning, I swear I will never drink tequila again.
How are you feeling?
Better.
Better?
Better get a bucket, I'm gonna puke. Ooh, I know that was brutal, right? Well guys, back in the day, and I'm not gonna tell you how long, tequila was not exactly the best option to drink for something smooth. In fact, most of the time it was downright nasty, and most of the time it was this little bottle here of Jose Cuervo. Why am I holding a little bottle? Because I'm not stupid enough to buy a big one, that's why. Also, half the bottles came with worms at the bottom. And you were a man if you ate one at the bottom, because that's where all the alcohol was at. Ooh. And let me tell you, Jose Cuervo hangovers are legendary. You wake up in the morning, your brain feels like someone emptied an ashtray into it, and your body just aches the entire day. So why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you, but first I'm going to tell you some quick facts about tequila. Fact number 1, in order to be called tequila, it must be produced in one of 5 designated Mexican states. The most well-known is Jalisco, where they produce the most of it. Number 2, is there is a NOM number on the back of each tequila bottle, or the front in this case. It depends. Anyway, probably can't see it that well, but this one is NOM 1614. This is where they make Tres Agaves. And it's not only the place where they manufacture it, but it's also the company that makes it. Sometimes you'll have 2 NOM numbers on there because there's joint companies who make the product. And number 3, and this brings us back to our favorite Jose Cuervo. Tequila only has to contain 51% agave for their alcohol. The rest they can use any kind of sugar alcohol, or as long as it's not illegal alcohol, along with other additives. And basically on the bottle it says made with the blue agave, but it doesn't say 100%. Please, for your own good, whenever you buy a bottle of tequila, make sure it says 100% agave on it. If not, you're playing with fire, and if you like that kind of thing, well, you're just gross anyway. So that's why the dreaded Jose Cuervo hangover is so bad. Because you never know what they added to it and in it, and it just got in your muscles and veins and all that and just made you feel like complete hell the next day. So it amazed me that a few years ago, I went out with some friends and we had some of the best tequila I've ever had. And like when they actually ordered a round of it, I was like, oh, no, no. And I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, the owner comes out. He's got a tray full of shots. The shots have this juice that he makes up behind the bar, all kinds of different tropical stuff mashed together, his own blend. All of a sudden, he starts passing them around, and I drink it, and I can't believe it. It was delicious. And again, I couldn't believe that after drinking something like good old Jose Cuervo Especial for so many years with my buddies, wishing I hadn't, something that had tasted like WD-40, that tequila actually tastes good. And not only does it taste good, but I've got 1, 2, 3 different versions of it that I can drink that taste out of this world. So that's why I love recommending tequila to other people, because it's opened up a whole new door and it breaks the stereotype wide open. Have you ever wondered how tequila is made? Well, tequila comes from the agave plant, which takes about 7 to 12 years to ripen before specialized workers called humidors go and collect it and then take large spears called coas to strip down the greenery from it and shave it down so it looks like a giant pineapple called a piña. The piña is then cooked in ovens to break down the starches into sugars. The piña is then put in either a roller mill or, if they go old school, a giant Tahona stone, which crushes it and brings the juices out so it can go on to the next stage, where they shred and press the extract so the sweet agave juice mixed into a mosta. Mosta is mixed with yeast and water into a fermentation tank, converting the sugars into alcohol. Finally, the fermented liquid is distilled twice, producing tequila. Now we're going to talk about different types of tequila. First one we're going to talk about is called a blanco. Blanco means either white or without color, which is, if you look right here, you'll see this is nice and clear. Typically right after distillation, it goes straight into the bottle, although some companies like Codigo will take a wine barrel, age a Blanco in there for about 2 months, and then it comes out a nice rosy color, which they market it as a rosa. The next one is called a reposado. Reposado means rested, and it rests for about 2 months to a year. The barrel mellows the agave flavor with hints of vanilla, oak, and honey. It's probably the most mispronounced of the three, often called a respirado. People, it's tequila. It's not an Eagles song. Respirado! No, I'm not going to go there. But I got you, didn't I? Our last tequila is called an añejo, and that means aged. And if you look at the side of this guy, you'll see it's a darker color, so you can see that the barrel has been aging this anywhere from 1 to 3 years. So it's taken on more of the barrel notes, more of the cooked agave kind of goes away, and it starts taking on a whiskey type of flavor. So, and each one is different. And now we're going to talk about tequila's dirty little secret. The secret is that for each bottle, a tequila producer can put in 1% of additives. Now, the additives can be one of several things. It can either be sugar-based, which is agave nectar, regular sugar, corn syrup, Splenda, cane sugar, and aspartame. Another thing they can use, let's say that their tequila is kind of thin and they want to thicken it up a little bit, make it feel more premium, they can add glycerin to it. So it's a lot like adding starch to gravy. You know what I mean? Thicken it up a little bit, and there you go. So that's pretty simple. The next thing we're going to talk about is oak extract. So what they do is they take extract from an actual barrel, mix it in with, let's say, an añejo. An añejo, if you remember, only has to be aged 1 to 3 years. Well, let's say they don't want to age it for 3 years, but they want it to taste like it. They're going to add oak extract to it, give it a little more of that barrel flavor, and lo and behold, they pulled one over on you and probably charge you the same amount that they would if they had to store it themselves. And lastly on our additive list, we're going to talk about caramel coloring. This is a reposado, a good reposado, I might add. It's got a nice straw coloring where it was in the barrel for up to a year. And this one is 1800. Boy, we know they put quality ingredients in that product. If you look closely and compare them, this one looks like it got poured out of a Crayola crayon box. And boy, oh boy, I would rather have something more natural than good old 1800. Guys, I know people like this kind of stuff, especially the one with the blue label on it. I mean, look, it's got a little Aztec shape to the bottle, but mostly it's kind of like if I were to take imitation vanilla syrup and rubbing alcohol, mixed them together, and look, hey, I got 1800. No, seriously, don't drink this. It'll kill you. So you have to ask yourself, okay, why do producers put additives in their product, right? Well, one reason is because they think you want it. Take Casamigos, for instance. I mean, it's not bad. It's, the taste isn't terrible. If you put it up against an additive-free tequila, there's a pretty big difference. This one has a natural sweetness to it, whereas this one has more of an artificial flavor. And then there's Kendall Jenner's 818.
Hey peeps, it's Kendall. Even though I could care less if you exist or not, the only way I might care is if you buy some of my super sugary birthday cake agave killing tequila. Like I tell everybody, it's all about branding. Now I gotta go buy a yacht or something, so peace out.
All right, all my 818 drinkers, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to tell you how to buy the exact same thing that you're drinking when you buy a $50 bottle of 818 for only $10. You go to the liquor store, you get a bottle of Pinnacle's birthday cake vodka. You spend $10. Pour this into a shot glass. Cringe, but notice the same taste that you had when you had the 818, and you save $40. Hey, look at me. I'm a Kardashian. The second reason companies use additives is to cover up their defects. Some companies harvest agave plants that are much too young to produce the amount of sugar needed for distillation. Well, what's the answer? Well, we'll just add our own sugar to it and then smother it with cotton candy flavor. Also, many of them use chemicals to break down the agave. They use like hydrochloric acid and acetones. Yeah, that's what I want in my tequila, hydrochloric acid and acetones. That's asinine if you ask me. Oh, God. So everybody's looking for the diamond in the rough, cheap but still good tequila. I found a bottle which I thought might fit the bill called Mi Campo. I go to buy Mi Campo and I bring it home. I pour a shot. I take a sip of it and about made me gag. It was so sweet it made my teeth hurt. Now, I took the great equalizer, the great mixer. I got an entire can of Sprite, dumped my shot in there, and it still overcame the Sprite flavor. That's how strong this stuff is. And you got to keep in mind, that's less than 1% of the sweetener that went into one of these bottles. It was disgusting. Luckily, I gave it to my nephews who will drink anything, and they took care of it for me, but still. It's always good to research a bottle, even if it's cheap, to give you an idea of what it's going to taste like. So by now you might be asking yourself, okay, Andy, we know that additives are put in certain tequilas, usually low quality ones. How do we find a good tequila? Well, I'm going to answer your question here by going back to the tequila plant itself. A good tequila should taste like cooked agave. Cooked agave is like a peach. Once it ripens, it's got a natural sweetness to it that far surpasses the artificial crap that other companies put in there. Good example is Santofina. If you know Sammy Hagar and Guy Fieri, this is a great additive-free tequila that you can try. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, this is my favorite tequila to drink with Sprite. Don't know, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. Again, we can go to Tres Agave, and that's a good, 30, 35 bucks for that. It's pretty cheap. You can get that anywhere. Again, the whole reason is so you can try cooked agave over some of the brands that try and drown it with cotton candy and, whatever crap they put in there. So at this point, you're asking yourself, okay, Andy, we've determined that a whole lot of additives are added to tequilas, especially the subpar ones, How do we find a good tequila? How do I find one that I know I'm going to like? Well, the first thing I have to tell you is your taste buds are going to be subjective. What you like may not be what everybody else likes. However, I do want to point out that there is a point to this divided table that we're looking at right here. On my right, which is your left, we have additive-free tequilas. On my left and your right, we have tequilas that have additives in them. Now, because they have additives in them, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. It all depends on what you're going to drink and what you're happy with. However, I need to tell you that since the agave plants ripen right around between 7 and 12 years, you're going to get a natural sweetness like we talked about before. It's like a peach, right? So the taste you're going to get out of this is going to be all natural. And if it comes from the highlands, it's going to have a minerality to it. It's going to give it a complex taste. The lowlands, not so much. This is where this one is, but it's a solid tequila and it tastes good. So if you don't want sugar necessarily put in your tequila, then the additive-free is the way to go. Plus, once you've adjusted to the additive-free taste, then we go to a place where these can't take you. That's the upper echelon. Ta-da! Meet my friend, El Tesoro. El Tesoro is one of my all-time favorites. It's got a special sweetness to it that doesn't come from any sugar or corn syrup or cotton candy added to it. It's got a complex taste. It's got a minerality to it. And I know that might sound a little weird, but it just adds to the taste. And I highly recommend this to anybody. So once you've graduated from what you think you might like and experiment and try a few bottles that people recommend to you, you can go up to here. Siete Leguas, 7 leagues. Really good tequila. Has a nice sweet flavor, but again, no additives to it. This thing is gold in a bottle. And here in Ohio, it's on sale for right around 40 bucks. This is a connoisseur or anybody who loves a good after dinner drink. This is a gem. I highly recommend it. And then lastly, my all-time favorite, so far anyway, Generation 4. This bottle is made with love and care. The producer uses rainwater and deep well water along with the yeast and agave that they mixed in, and it is wonderful. It's the best thing in the world as far as tequila goes, in my humble opinion. And you can actually find this in Ohio, which is wonderful, along with the other 3 I was showing you. So that's the difference. But the one thing that all of these have in common that your 1800s and Jose Cuervos do not is you can taste the cooked agave, which is basically the tequila flavor in each of them. Some are more pronounced, okay? Obviously, your non-additives are going to have lots of cooked agave in it, and you're going to be able to taste it. Go over here, Southbound, wonderful tequila. Unfortunately, it's not here in Ohio yet, so you have to go near Tennessee and a few other places that are a little more south to get it, but it is agave forward and it is a gem. It's really good. Herradura. This is a weird tequila because I don't like the Blanco, but I really, really like the Reposado on this. It's really good. So let's say that you want a tequila that you want to mix drinks with, and you also want to, maybe take a shot or two. Something that's pleasant to your taste buds and doesn't cost a lot. Meet Espolón. This is an all-around good tequila. I highly recommend it. This is a liter bottle. I think I paid right around $35 for it. And again, any kind of margarita you want to make, or, Paloma, or just general shots, this is a winner. I highly recommend that. Avion. Okay, this one has a little bit of a minty taste. Obviously, there are additives to it. But again, you can taste the agave. And lastly, the one I ragged on before, Casamigos. Yes, you can definitely taste there's some syrupy stuff in there. And it's pleasant. And if you're a new tequila drinker, while I'm ragging on this, it's not bad to start out with. So, I can't highly recommend it, but I will recommend it to the new tequila drinker because it's palatable. And yes, you can still taste the tequila. You can still taste the agave in this. So to wrap this up, you want to make sure you get a tequila that's 100% agave. All of these are 100% agave. Some have additives, some are additive free, okay? But if you get something that's not, then you'll end up with the Jose Cuervo Mixto. In other words, a mixture of 51% agave and 49% God only knows. So, guys, I want to thank you for dropping by my dive bar. Again, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And I'd also be curious to see, what tequilas do you like? Feel free to send me a note. And if you have any questions, I would love to try and answer them for you. So, until next time, we'll see you.